Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, the amazing Tea Street. It's one of my favorite mugs. It was a gift, and Lord knows in this season, it speaks life to me. God's got this. What an appropriate mug for the conversation that we're going to have today. Though I am an unashamed Christian, most of my talks don't specifically talk about faith. But today's message will. So if you are a person who's not into faith and you don't want to hear this message, this is a good time to log off. But I want to come to you today and talk about, don't skip the process of stepping out of the boat. Oftentimes, people live a life that is much smaller than what they're supposed to be living because they're afraid to step out of the boat. Now, the analogy of stepping out of the boat comes from the Bible when Peter was in the boat and Jesus told him to walk out to him. And Peter was like, you know this water, right, God? This is the ocean. But he had enough faith to step out of the boat and start to walk to the thing that he wanted, which was to be with Jesus. And as he walked out of the boat, as long as he had his eyes on God, on Jesus, the Son of God, as long as he had his eyes on Jesus, he was good. The moment he got distracted and looked away, all of a sudden, Peter started to go under. And he had to refocus his eyes on Jesus. So what is the process of stepping out of the boat? It's about faith, y'all. It's choosing to believe God. Faith is always a choice. Are there times that I wish that God would just dictate things to me? Yes, dictate it. But he doesn't. He's a God of free will, and he gives us the choice to believe God. And what that means is, even when we can't see things, even when they're not manifesting as you all do in this new age religion, even when you can't see it, it's choosing to believe what God said. That's what faith is, period. It's just choosing to believe. And you have the right not to believe. And you can always choose not to believe. But stepping out of the boat requires you to just believe God. It requires you, once you believe, to act on your belief. If you believe that God called you to do something, to start a business, don't just believe it in your head. The way that you say to God, Lord, I trust you, is you step out of the boat and you start the business, if that's what God told you to do. I'm in a season, y'all, that I have never experienced before. When I say I thought I knew grief when I lost my mom, I don't know grief like I know it right now. Death after death after death after death. When you bury 5 people in 4 months that you love, that are your family, and then you bury 4 other people who are connected to people that you love, who are their family. You got 9 deaths in 4 months. I have to trust God in this season. Every day, someone is like, how are you processing this? I'm like, y'all, I'm processing it because God told me that he would give me beauty for ashes. I'm choosing to believe that. And so I walk every day acting on what God said. Acting as though that beauty is already here. It's not yet, y'all. I don't have joy for sorrow yet. But I walk in the world with joy as though I have it already. Because that's what it means. You choose to believe God and then you choose to act on it. Next thing you got to do is you trust God more than what your eyes can see. There was a season when my son was really in a bad state, my youngest son. And I was having to get on planes and travel all across this nation and literally minister to other people's kids, not even knowing where my son was, not knowing if he was safe, not knowing. And people said, T, how are you able to do this? And I said, because God told me to go do this. And I trust that he's got my son. While I go and save other people's sons and daughters, I trust God with mine. That's why today couldn't be a motivational message. It had to be a message of faith, telling somebody today that sometimes you have to trust God more than you trust your own eyes. I can't see what God promised me about my son yet. So in this season, I have to choose to trust what God says more than what I see, because that's what faith is. I step out of the boat every single day, not knowing if I'm going to step on the water or go under the water. But I trust that I'm going to step on the water as long as I don't take my eyes off of what God told me to do. That's what faith is, y'all. Good morning, Stephanie. That's what it is. I can't explain to you in this season why I trust God the way that I do, but I can tell you the word of God said, I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor his seed begging bread. And I can tell you his track record is good with me. And that's why I trust him. Time after time after time after time, he, unlike me and unlike my friends and unlike my family, he has never lied to me. And so he got a good track record with me. I trust God more than I trust my own eyes. And finally, keep your eyes on God, period. No matter what you see, if you are believing God for something today, no matter what you see, don't take your eyes off of God. The enemy loves distraction. He loves to get us focused on all the things around us. People dying, your children going wayward, your finances being messed up, your health may not be good. He loves to take your distracted eye off of God. But I can tell you today, you can walk on water if you keep your eyes on God. Don't skip the process of stepping out of the boat. God can't do what he wants to do when we won't trust him with us. I came to tell someone this morning that I serve a stepping out of the boat God. And no matter what I see, in the words of Tasha Cobbs Leonard, God's going to get the glory out of every situation if we simply won't take our eyes off of God. I dog double dare you. Don't skip the process of stepping out of the boat, because when you step out, God will meet you where you are. And if you keep your eye on God, choose to believe God, choose to act on your belief, choose to trust God more than you trust what you can see. And no matter what you do, keep your eyes on God, period. I'm the Amazing T Street. Nothing amazing in me, but everything amazing in the God that I serve. Today's message is not a motivational message. It's a word to tell you that God's got you. God's got this. Have an amazing weekend. I love you all, and I'm so grateful to you for coming on to follow me. Good morning. I'm going to shout out some folks who are here this morning. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Elijah. God's got you, Elijah. Good morning, Jahan. Good morning, my friend Stephanie. Good morning, Yolanda. I believe God more than I believe what my eyes and the enemy would want me to believe. I trust God. Today, won't you trust him? Have an amazing day. Good morning, Kenneth. Have an amazing day, everybody.